got to adjust my leg because it's just really, it's really hurting me.
I like it.
This one is so painful. It's so stupid.
This one was going numb and I was like, I think I'm just gonna let it go.
Welcome back to Twin Talk, episode number 3.
Woo!
It's been a couple weeks because Felicity, my other half, has had a family emergency, so we haven't been able to record.
We're alive.
You're alive. You're here, and we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Let's get her done. Last week, or I guess the last episode, was all about God and everything that has to do with that for our life. This week, we are talking about the one.
The one.
Yes, you are correct in assuming it is the one. Your significant other, one.
Whom you choose.
Whom you choose, and they choose you. So let's just jump right into it. So we are both married. I've been married for 10 years this year, which is really weird to think. It goes by so fast. And Felicity will be married 9 in May. We can both share our stories. How did you meet your husband? And then I'll share with mine.
So I met Brandon in BC. He's originally from BC. We are from Alberta. I met him at our friend's wedding. He was a last minute replacement.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Totally an act of God.
Totally an act of God. He was a last minute replacement in the wedding because the groomsman dropped out. And we were both in the wedding because we were good friends with the bride. Or we are good friends with the bride.
Still friends with the bride.
And yeah, the moment that I saw him, God was like, there's your husband, which is crazy. Obviously, there's so much more to that story.
Yes. We'll probably dig into it a little bit as we go on
but
through
that's where
questions.
we met, in BC, at a wedding.
Yeah.
The most cute rom-com
In 2014.
scenario. In 2014, we met at a wedding. Yeah, both in the wedding.
I met Tyler in 2013 at the end of the summer. His dad and my dad were both working at the same company at the time. And then my brother and Tyler ended up working the same job at the same time. So Josiah, our brother, had invited him to church. And then he just started coming from there. And then we met through friends, and he met Felicity, and then he met me. And that's how it began. And that's not the romantic version of how it began. We just remained friends for a while. But things obviously developed from there. But that's how I met him, was at youth group. So that's the beginning of that.
Did we have a checklist?
I did not. I know that you did.
You were...
Of
us, you're the more easygoing one.
Yes.
Obviously.
I wasn't picky. I didn't really have like a type. We never dated really in high school. We never dated in Bible college.
We had one other boyfriend.
We each had one other boyfriend
before we got married.
Yeah, and we can talk about that too. But yeah, I never had like, oh, I need him to have like blue eyes or brown hair or blonde hair, or like I didn't have that. It was just like I just kind of knew that I would know when I was attracted to this person that was in front of me. So, but
I
yeah,
was very specific.
You had a list, yes.
But ever since I was little, it wasn't just like a thing that like it was like specific as I got older. It was like I always wanted someone with brown eyes. Always, always. I don't know why. I just like love that. Maybe that's the Disney prince person.
The tall, dark, and handsome look.
The tall, dark, and handsome. Minus the tall.
Her husband is not that
Brandon
tall.
Brandon is average.
He's an average sized gentleman.
Or just above average because we're basically the same height. Which I didn't have on the list.
Shout out Short Kings.
Which I did not have on my list was a height. Which to me, not a deal breaker.
Not a deal
we're
breaker.
the same height. Everything works out. We're good. And I don't have to wear heels. Like win, win, win. But yes, I definitely had a list. And I think I got more specific from my first boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I had an idea in my head of things that I wanted, but I didn't.
Let's touch on our first boyfriends briefly.
Yeah.
So I dated a man that I was friends with for about 2 years before we started dating. And we only ended up dating for 3 months. no disrespect to him. He was a great guy, not meant for me. But everything that we talked about when we were dating or just when we were hanging out or whatever, there weren't similarities in where we wanted our life to go. So that's just kind of how it fizzled out. And that is what it is. So I've only had one boyfriend.
First
boyfriend. Yeah, you invest everything.
Like we were very over the top about
Yes.
the idea of our
totally.
boyfriends, and
As
it was
you
a
are.
first. And so for me,
And I never had any like firsts with him. I didn't have a first kiss with him. I had nothing.
held hands.
I held hands. That's it with my first boyfriend.
Yeah.
So it's like that's all the things, and it's fine. He's a great guy. He's married to somebody else. They're
And
great.
they're great.
They're
Yeah.
great people. Just not
it
meant to
all
be
works
mine.
out. God has someone for everyone.
Yes.
Anyway, I had known this person pretty much like our whole life.
Yeah.
We've known him. They grew up in the church with
Yeah.
us and stuff, and we were close with his sister. One of his sisters, because
Yeah.
they're a big family.
Yes.
Anyway, no disrespect to him either. He's married now,
Yep.
doing well, whatever. I actually don't know. I don't follow him or anything, but
I
like
don't know.
I wish him well. He is a good person. He was a good boyfriend. But kind of the same thing. Like he was tall, dark, and handsome. And so
We had good first boyfriends.
We
We were
did.
treated
We did.
well by them.
Yeah, yeah.
It just didn't work out.
I just I think in my head there was just again the similar like the things of like what we wanted didn't line up
Mhm.
and
What you saw for your life.
yeah, what we saw for our life, and it
Yeah.
just like it was really hard. He was my first kiss. Like I didn't want to kiss at the time. Not saying he pressured me because we had talked about it for a really long time. We actually dated only 6 months, so 3 months more than Sapphira.
Yeah.
But that was really hard on me. I'm a very like hard on my sleeve person, and so yeah, that was a really hard breakup.
Yeah. She had a little bit more emotionally invested.
Mhm.
Obviously, I was hurt
Mhm.
from my breakup,
Sure.
and my heart was guarded going into dating Tyler.
But like seeing now,
fine.
like obviously when we're in this position, we see now like just like how God moved in that.
Yes.
Obviously, when you're in it, it's hard to get perspective
Yes.
outside of that because
All you see is heartbreak.
all you see is
and you're
heartbreak,
in the heartbreak.
and you're never gonna find someone else, and just all the things, and like so we had kind of a mutual breakup, even though he more initiated it. So that's probably what like I got rejected from, like
Mhm.
just like all these kind of girl things got in my head, and yeah, I got insecure from that. But anyway,
Do we believe, or do you believe, or do I believe that there is only one person for each person?
I don't think so.
I would say no as well.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion, though.
And I think
People
it's
could
funny.
disagree.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's funny because people in church, you know, or even in the world and in church, I think people get a little bit confused of like, oh, soulmate, oh, the one. And it's like God gives you multiple opportunities with multiple people, and you can choose to act on it or not. And I
Yeah.
think, especially in the church, people kind of over spiritualize it and
Mhm.
make it this hyper super thing. It's like, I never felt God. And it's like, well, you're also a person with free will.
Yeah, totally.
And God gives you that to make, to make that choice. It's
Yeah.
not always going to be a Holy Spirit moment of like, ooh,
the
like,
lights shining down, the angels
it's not
singing.
like that at all.
No.
Like you have to go put yourself out there and get to know.
Be proactive.
So no, I don't believe in the one. I believe that you choose the one and you commit to that.
Well, then it goes into like, what if your spouse dies, which happens,
Mm-hmm.
and
Or
you
get
know,
divorced.
what if
People
you
get
get
divorced.
divorced? Like
Cheating
that
or
happens
whatever.
too. It just is what it is. So it's like God can totally make those people new and like bring. There are
Absolutely.
cases in some marriages where people come back together and they reconcile and they fix and heal from past trauma and hurt. But sometimes people just need to go separate ways, or your spouse dies and
Mhm.
then you move forward in a different way and you meet somebody else. Like there's so many things. So it's
choose.
like I genuinely don't believe that there's
No.
one person for each of us. But Tyler says that if if anything were to happen, I'm not allowed to get married again. I was like, all right.
I said I would have a hard time with it. I was like, I don't know if
obviously you
would.
don't want to be alone.
No, obviously you don't want to be alone, but Brandon was more
But also he wouldn't have a say. If he was dead,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have a say.
Brandon was more like, yeah, I would probably get married again. And I was like, you're really
That's
quick.
really easy
Yeah,
to
I was
say
like,
for you.
You're really quick to say that. And he was like, well, I think I would just be able to adjust quicker. And I was
Oh
like
gosh.
I was just like more than me. Like
so
obviously
not sensitive to the subject.
yeah, like he's a very logical person. And so like obviously we had a separate discussion after that. But like it's just
You
funny.
answered way too
It's
easy.
funny the way that our brains work, because I know that he didn't mean it in a way to hurt me. But
No.
like for me, I'm
You
like,
don't want to hear it.
I would be like, I would never go with someone. Like I could never be with someone else.
Well, it's
Like,
just hard. It's hard to be
it's so
vulnerable
hard.
again and be open again. But that's just.
But in his logical
Yeah.
brain, he's like, I could get over it. It would take some time, but I would want to be married again, so I'm not alone. I'm like, okay, cool.
Good for you. Hope you're happy.
Literally.
JK.
Best of luck.
What rules did our parents set for us as teenagers? So I was reminded of, I don't remember what age, I want to say 13, maybe 14. Our parents got us purity rings.
Mhm.
So, and I still have mine. It's broken because it
Me
like
too.
cracked in the back. But,
My diamond fell out.
oh, mine's still in there, but it's cracked in the back.
It's just a little.
But
tiny-
anyway, they got us purity rings, and it was basically a promise to keep ourselves pure our whole teenage life, and not like, we had the rule also not to date until after school, like high school.
18 was
which-
kind of where they wanted it to
Yes,
be.
but definitely after school,
Mhm.
which I wholeheartedly agree with now that we have children.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Obviously, you don't like that rule when you're a teenager, but whatever. So yes, the purity ring symbolized a lot of things for us, and it was an accountability for us, I think, to
Yeah, just not
have that
sex,
promise to
not have
God,
sex before marriage.
have that promise to our parents, and be
Yeah.
like, yes, I will remain pure.
Because our
Yeah.
bodies are for our husbands. They're
Yeah.
not for everybody to play with.
So we took that very seriously,
Mhm.
and we didn't mess around in school. We didn't mess around in after high school. Like, it was just like, this is something really sacred that I want to share with one person that I commit to and marry.
And
But it's like,
crazy emotional.
it's scientifically proven that we as teenagers are not mentally capable to make grown-up decisions.
Mhm.
So it's like, why would you want to date and
Trying
put
to
that
fit-
pressure on you to figure out adult decision making in your teenage years?
Well, and just get baggage.
It
and
robs you.
damage
Yeah, it
and,
robs you
like-
of your childhood, for one.
Oh yeah.
And you have all these pressures in life decisions, and like, sex brings on a whole other level of like stress.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're a teenager,
When you're
because
not
it
ready
takes
for
it.
it.
takes away so much from your childhood that
Mhm.
you shouldn't be taking away.
Because there's an order. God has an order for things.
yeah,
And there is such a safety when you wait to get married.
Yeah.
And then you get to become one with your person. And it's
and do
just-
life together,
life
make the hard
together,
decisions
and,
together.
Explore each other's body in that way. And it's just, anyway, we don't need to go crazy into
No.
that, but it's like that kind of stuff should be dealt with in a marriage.
Yeah.
Not outside.
And
of
as an
that.
adult.
As an adult.
Sorry. What time frame do we believe is the best for couples dating to engage to married? So we both have different timelines for us personally. I
wish
don't-
we would've-
I don't agree with mine. It was too long. So I got engaged in 2014,
Mhm.
and he proposed to me in October, and I wanted a fall wedding. So the timing of that was just horrible.
None of it was fully discussed to that extent.
No.
Because even I would have said, okay, well, maybe wait till this time.
Yeah.
Then she can plan the wedding for the fall.
I mean, like, he bought the ring when we were on vacation, and then when we got back from vacation, he proposed to me. So it was like,
And I was just burning a hole in his
yeah,
pocket.
of course,
he just-
like it would for
it should,
anybody.
and it should. But it's just like,
But
it
yeah.
wasn't fully discussed of the timeline. So
Yeah,
It was a
so
long wait.
it was a long wait till the next fall. It was like 10 or 11 months of being engaged, which I do not recommend
Absolutely.
at all when you're abstaining from things. Don't do it. So you can get a nice, clean, beautiful wedding done in 6 months.
I would even say
Like,
quicker than that.
It's doable.
I just say,
it's totally
like,
doable.
oh, yeah.
But sorry, the dating
yes.
period.
Yeah.
I would say within a year, you know whether or not you want to
Absolutely.
marry this person.
100%.
This is just what we think about this particular.
Our story is a little bit more crazy, but we dated in May and then we got engaged in September.
Mhm.
And
So they
then-
got engaged at my reception. That was my idea.
Mhm. He just doesn't like to be made a spectacle either. He does not like doing things in front of people. He is very much behind the scenes guy. I like being center of attention. And I said, like, I wanted my
Which she
family
was.
there.
She was at the
Yeah,
reception.
I looked really good because I was in a bridesmaid's dress.
Yeah.
My nails were done, like, literally perfect.
It was perfect.
And so it was great.
And there were photographers.
Yeah.
And videographers.
it all worked out.
Okay, this is where we can get into it. What are some topics to discuss when you're dating? What are some things? Are there things that are off limits? Are there things that are like you should be? Yes. Like there's
Mhm.
there's lots. So I do think that there is a time and place for specific discussions, obviously about intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, when we keep going back to this, we believe, and in our faith, we believe sex is meant for marriage. That's just the godly way. That's the biblical way. That's what we believe. So when you're dating, I don't think that sex should be a topic of discussion.
No.
Really in any way, shape, or form. You kind of tiptoe around that topic as you get engaged and closer to like getting married and all that kind of stuff, but not in detail about what you want to do, all this kind of stuff, because it's intimate, it's private,
and it makes you want to do those
yes,
things.
of course, 100%. If you're attracted to your partner,
and you should be,
it ignites that.
You should want to do those things.
Of
It's
course.
not a bad thing.
So anyway, you need to have all the tough questions asked, everything that you're wanting out of your life, being honest with them, what you're looking for in a partner, how many kids you want to have, and like what you want and what your expectations are. And like, don't hold back, because you need to know where you both stand. And if it doesn't line up, then like that gives you some clarity in what's going on. You need to discuss your belief systems, where you come from. There's really nothing, I don't think, besides the intimacy talk that we discussed, that's off limits. Obviously,
learn
start
how to
off in the
fight.
honeymoon stage.
Things are easy. Things are
Yeah,
great. but
you
then
don't
life hits
show
you.
your whole self right
No.
off the bat. So you work towards that as your relationship develops.
But again, we were very upfront with the things that we
Yeah.
wanted. I was very
it
specific.
was black and white. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
And especially coming out of a relationship with my ex, like I knew even more what I wanted
Yeah.
in a partner.
Yes.
Just because we didn't fully align before. So
Yeah.
I wrote down a list of
Yeah.
everything that I wanted, and I mean, he's exceeded that by far so much.
Yeah.
And like, thank you, Jesus, for my husband, because he is perfect for me. But like, I hammered him.
I need to know.
I need to know these things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it just was, you have to have those serious conversations.
Yeah, you do.
But also have fun. You don't need to always sit
No.
and have the serious conversations.
Deal with the hard stuff
Yeah.
and the garbage stuff,
it over
the
with.
baggage. Walk away from it. Get your healing that you need. Talk to who you need to talk
Yeah.
to. Move away from it. Let that be fun and light and
Mhm.
breezy, because
Because we did have fun.
Yes,
We didn't like
so did I.
sit and have conversations all the time.
No.
Like we literally had a couple of those conversations.
yeah,
And then every other date was like
life
super
and
fun.
marriage is hard enough and
Oh, yeah.
enough work. Like, let the dating season be fun
Yeah.
and airy and breezy.
Mhm.
Like, just enjoy it.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun. Is it okay to go for coffee in Christian dating settings? Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, churches, but I hate the stigma around dating. I hate it. I am
Yeah.
so sad that they are not encouraging people to just like, but even in like a group setting, like
In a safe setting.
go have fun and hang out after church.
Yeah.
Go get wings. Go
That is
bowling.
literally what we did our whole single
Oh my
life,
gosh,
was
and
just
it was
hang out
so
with
fun.
mixed company, got to know people on a really safe setting in groups of people, but like still, you know,
could
hanging
still
out
have
one-on-one.
one-on-one conversations with everybody and
In
like
a safe
that's-
space.
That's how I got all my crushes. It's like,
Yeah.
I literally
Of no harm.
No
It's an
harm.
innocent coffee.
like
Nobody's
literally
getting
nothing
engaged.
happened. Yeah, nothing happened, and it was just like it was safe. It was okay. We got to know each other deeper,
Yeah.
and then it was like, okay, I don't see anything further with you. Like, let's just stay
be friends.
and then nothing is wrecked. Nothing is hurt. No one's emotionally damaged.
Nobody's getting invested.
Oh my gosh! Like it's just
Nobody's
so sad.
tiptoeing around anybody's feelings. It's just like, hey, this isn't going to work. I think we're better as
Yeah.
friends. If you could go back to your younger self, what advice would you give about boys? If I could go back to either one of us, our younger selves, I would just say, which I think we lived by it pretty well, is just focus on the season that you're in and enjoy it to the best that you can. But like, you never, ever, ever get that time back. You never get to be a teenager again. You never get to be like 19 is it. And then you're an adult the rest of your life. You just have to pay for your phone or your car,
Yeah.
and that's it. And then you get to go and hang out with your friends and eat food and just have fun. Go do activities, go to the beach, all that kind of stuff. Like, so I would just say take advantage of the time that this
Enjoy
season
that
is,
season, yeah.
because it's so, so short.
Well, God has you. He's called you to something in every season that
Yes.
we're in, and I think we can kind of get stuck in wanting to be further ahead, wanting to be 5, you know, like just
Yeah.
that's the way that the world is. What's your 5-year goal? What's your 5-year plan? What's like, we just like, we're always supposed to be like, go, go, go. But it's like, God actually calls us to be still sometimes. Things change as we get older. There's still things that we're learning.
We grow all the time. Anyway, what are some things you do while waiting for the one?
Pray. Don't ever stop praying. Bible says pray without ceasing, which means don't stop. Don't ever stop.
Yeah.
And again, I can attest to that. I journaled so freaking much of like prayers to my future husband. I specifically bought a book for
Yeah.
my future husband and wrote prayers to him. And
Yeah.
so Brandon hasn't read all of them yet.
I've
Like-
read some of mine and I don't want to share.
The journals are funny, but it helps us get our feelings out because
Yes.
feelings don't last.
And they're not always true.
They're not always true.
Yeah, it's really hard in the waiting seasons, and girls just want we are wired to have that connection with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be loved and taken care of, and waiting for that. You just have to press into God, like Felicity said. Like there's nothing that you can do that will help get you through that except God, because you have to trust His timing in it.
Well, you can't ever fast forward. You can't ever go back. Like
Yeah.
it's just about being content in all seasons.
How do you guard yourself from what the world says about relationships?
Ugh. Don't listen to it. The world wants you to be selfish,
Yeah,
and they want you to fool around, and they want you to explore, and they want you to
have experience.
and
or-
discover
yeah.
all these things before you commit to someone.
Yeah.
And that is just so
It's so
backwards.
wrong.
It's
So
so wrong. It's so the opposite of what God has for you, because in that, I mean, you've seen it on the dating shows.
Mhm.
Everyone is literally just so messed up.
Yeah.
And they're so damaged because they're just like giving their body.
And they all
away.
have the same hurt at the end of the
They
day.
all have the same hurt.
They're
and
broken and hurt
Yeah.
from the same things.
And they can act all like cocky and
Yeah.
like full of themselves, but at the end of the day, they're just like a hurt, broken person
Yeah.
because they don't want to live this way, but they're being told like, this is the best way you can live. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. Just go do it and have fun when you're young. And it's like, you need to use wisdom when you're young,
Yes.
because that will reward you as you get older.
Yeah, and I would say you need to be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with,
Mm-hmm.
who is making good decisions that are pushing you and themselves towards Jesus and what He has for you. And one of the pieces of advice that I can give that I can't remember who said it to me or even when they said it, but if you want to have a successful marriage, surround yourself with people who are successful in their marriages. If you want healthy kids that are thriving in the house of God, surround yourself with parents that have healthy kids that are serving in His house.
Mhm.
So it's like same thing for wanting to be in a relationship. If you want to be in a healthy relationship, surround yourself with people who have those healthy relationships, and that can equip you to make the right decisions to go and be in a healthy relationship with somebody. What does it mean to protect your heart? Let's look at what the Bible says. I wrote some down. Psalms 51, verse 10. Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. We are sinful people. We need to be cleaned out daily. Proverbs 4, verse 23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Jeremiah 17, 9-10. The heart is deceitful above all things and
Mhm.
beyond cure. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind. So it's like most movies or shows talk about how you should follow your heart when you're seeking the significant other. I'd say 99%.
Or in anything.
Yeah, 99% of
Follow
the
your
time,
heart.
people follow your heart. And it's like,
Don't.
you can't trust your heart.
No.
It is deceitful. It literally says it. It is deceitful. Who can understand it? We cannot, because it points us in the wrong directions. So it's
And
like,
again, it follows feelings, which feelings are fickle. They
Yeah.
don't last.
they're not a solid foundation.
No.
But the Bible explicitly says it over and over again. We cannot trust our heart. So we need the Holy Spirit to help us with discernment and renewing our minds to make the right decisions,
Mhm.
because we cannot rely on our flesh.
No.
We are sinful by nature. We are born into it. We cannot help but be sinful. We have to train ourselves to be and like put on the armor of God to make the right decisions,
Which
daily.
being sinful means being selfish.
yes,
It's pride. It's
looking out for number
selfishness.
one.
Yep. Not thinking of anybody else, not being considerate of anybody else.
Yeah.
It's selfish.
A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So it's like what we allow into our hearts will eventually come out in our words and our actions. And that is so true. So it's like, what are we filling ourselves up with? What are we filling up our spirit with? We need to be so aware with what we are allowing in our life because it comes out in our actions and our words. What does God say about relationships? Again, I'm going back to the Bible. Ephesians 5 verse 25 says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. I think ultimately, if you look up all the scriptures that have to do with relationships, it's about sacrifice, which is exactly what Felicity said. The Bible shows us the example of Jesus laying down his life as a sacrifice, and the relationship that God has with the church is about sacrifice. So if we feel we cannot or are not able to sacrifice for someone, that's your answer. You're not ready to be in a relationship.
Because let me tell you, when you get married and you have babies,
it's not about you.
It's not about you. Because when you get married, you're supposed to put their needs before your own. And that does not come naturally.
Yeah.
It may happen in the honeymoon phase of dating each other, but
of course,
like
you want to do all the things for
once
that
you get
person.
married and stuff gets real, you're not
it's not your default.
You're not going to be thinking of him. You're going to be thinking of you and how he hurt your feelings.
Totally. That's just real
sacrificial.
Yeah, being in any sort of relationships means serving the way that Jesus served people. And if you are incapable of that, you're going to have so many roadblocks in your relationships because ultimately we are selfish and we need to die to our flesh daily. So we need to make sure that we are being obedient and loyal to God's will for us because he is the only way that we can be selfless. And then ultimately, Ecclesiastes 4 verse 9 to 10, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either one of them falls down, one can help the other up. How do we we want to equip our daughters for their future? So Felicity has 1 daughter and I have 2. That's just weird to think about sometimes. It's a tough question because our kids, like Aurora is going to be 8 this year. And then my daughters are 5 and 3.
The best way that I can equip her is how I honor my husband. And I can definitely see where I've fallen short with Brandon, or I've been short with him, or snappy or grumpy or whatever. Like, she's definitely reacted that way to her brothers. And so she's really good at that. And I can hear her when I go to bed or stuff. And she's in her room and praying, and she's praying for her dad's leg and praying for the boys and praying for healing. And I can just see how beautiful and pure she is. And I'm like, she's so much.
Her heart is gold.
Yeah, she's so much better than me in every aspect, even though she's exactly like me, but she's like the much better version of me. So that's
usually how it goes.
I want to nurture that. Jesus help me. But
yeah, obviously we're going to talk to all of our children, but we're going to talk to our daughters about the obvious evils of the world and equip them the best that we can in that aspect. But I never want my girls to question how beautiful they are and their value and what they bring and are going to bring to somebody. Girls need it so much more from their dad than their mom. They get it from their mom in a different way. And I pull out different things than Tyler pulls out of them, but they need that protection from their dad. They need the words spoken over them that they're so gorgeous from their dad. They need it because it just affirms who they are and it makes them never question their confidence and who they are as people. So I just want to equip them in that sense, and I don't want them to
confident.
Yeah, I don't want there to be any compromise in their life. That's really my ultimate goal, is I just want them to love Jesus and I want them to love people. Here's a fun one to end on. What are some of our favorite rom-coms? I'll start it off because okay. So there's a lot of movies that I love. They're not in order of how much I love them. They're just in a list. You've Got Mail, Kate and Leopold, The Holiday. The Holiday I could watch over and over and over again.
It's so good.
Sleepless in Seattle, Pride and Prejudice. I could watch that one over and over and over again.
Which it might be coming to theater. And I texted Spire, I was like, if this is going, I literally will buy tickets the day that I see it, and we're gonna go. I don't care if we have kids. I'm like, we will figure this
out. 13 Going on 30, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, My Best Friend's Wedding, Runaway Bride, Sweet Home Alabama, Made in Manhattan. There's a lot more, but
10 Things I Hate About You.
Those are some of
Because
them.
we basically have the same list because we just
Yeah.
watched all the same movies together. Johnny Depp was my crush growing up.
Mm-hmm.
/ kind of is now.
Sorry,
Brandon. He knows this, and I can't talk about him because he gets upset.
Yeah, I'm not
Anyway.
gonna say anything.
Even though he's the age of my father.
He's older.
Anyway, Cry Baby is one of not a lot of people know about it, but that is one of
It's
my
a
favorite
retro
movies.
Johnny Depp movie.
Yeah, I think it was from the 90s. An amazing cheesy musical. So like
Cheesy musical,
If you
as in
see
it's
it-
not well done as a musical. So don't take it for
if
that.
you see it, you can kind of get an idea of what it's about, but then you start watching it and then they start singing and you're like, why are they singing?
Yeah, it's like this seems
But,
out
like,
of place.
I love it. I think it's so great. I kind of want to watch it again because it is one of my
Yeah, I
favorite
kind of want to
movies.
watch it.
27 Dresses.
Oh, 27
Bride
Dresses.
Wars.
Bride Wars, yeah.
Did I say 10 Things I Hate About You?
Yes, first one.
Heath Ledger. Love him.
Love him.
Love him. That movie is
R.I.P.
amazing.
It's hard.
Movies that
There's
we-
lots.
We had a bunch of Marilyn Monroe movies. Audrey Hepburn.
Yes, I love all the old ones, like from the 40s and 50s, like Roman Holiday, Funny Face, An Affair to Remember, those types of movies. Yeah.
So good.
Anyway, but like the 90s, a little bit of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s was like peak rom-coms.
Made in Manhattan.
Yeah,
Wedding
I said that
Planner.
one. Oh, Wedding Planner. That's
So
a good one too.
Yeah.
So good.
Lots of
That concludes this podcast.
actually number 3.
Number 3, episode 3, finally episode 3. So excited for the next one, and stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you tune into our Instagrams if you follow us to get you hooked up with the next episode. So just like and subscribe Our Epic Life, and stay tuned for the next one.
Still don't
You
have
still
a
need to look up catchphrases.
I did look up catchphrases.
See you later, alligator.
Life's a beach.
Life. Well, we don't swear. So, super thankful for our spouses. They are a blessing. Love ya.
You know who you are.
You know who you are.